Heard an intro? Not yet. All right, TikTok, I'm coming back to you. I am John Beckwith Jr. I'm the second generation owner of Golden Gate Funeral Home. My father, John Beckwith Sr., along with Allie Beckwith, both started Golden Gate Funeral Home in 1980 in Waxahachie, Texas. We added a second location in Dallas, Texas in 1985. Then moved to our third location on Cedar Crest Boulevard in 1994.
We're live.
And we are live. Hello and welcome to Ask the Undertaker. It's an open unsolicited funeral service. It's brought to you by Golden Gate Funeral Home and Crematory. Y'all listen, I am John Beckwith Jr., owner of the funeral home, and I am joined today by Miss Marlonda Taylor,
Good morning.
Chief Marketing Officer.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, TikTok. Happy to have you all.
All right, you guys, today we're going to talk about security at funeral services. Security at funeral services. First of all, let's talk about why is security even necessary at a funeral service. Marlon, why do you think security is necessary?
I think security is necessary depending upon the dynamic of the family, right? So sometimes it's necessary to keep things in order. So that's when I think security is necessary, when you have a high profile situation, maybe some family disagreements and things like that. Sometimes it could be a good thing, and sometimes it could be just to keep things from getting out of hand.
I definitely agree with you totally. Let's start from the top. What is security, and what was security used for? The number one reason for security is presence. So the objective is so that you can see security. This is not secret service. This is actually security. We want present. You see it. You say, listen, I'm not even going to try it because I see security. It's not even worth it going through someone that may can arrest me or detain me, or they can harm me. So it's not even worth it. Quite often we'll find ourselves in places that you may be tempted to do something, but you see the police. Or you may be tempted to run a red light, but you're not going to run a red light if there's a police car at the red light.
Right.
I attend many places that have security. I attend Dallas Cowboy games, season ticket holder. I love the Dallas Cowboys. And there's always security. There's security when I drive up in the parking lot. There's security before I enter the stadium. There's security in the stadium. And not the idea we expected anything to happen, but because of their presence, normally nothing happens.
Correct.
Also, I'm a big Maverick fan. I go to the Mavericks game. There's security in the parking lot. There's security at the door, security in the game. Not the idea we're expecting. Anything that happens, it just feels good.
Precautionary,
So is the Dallas Cowboys more important than my father's service? Is the Dallas Maverick game more important than my mom's funeral? So you don't want to disturb a Dallas Cowboy game, right?
Right.
You don't want to disturb a Dallas Maverick game because you think that's important.
Right.
But isn't a funeral service important?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, in my time here, I have definitely seen the security present. And a lot of times, we see you bury a lot of people, right? High profile and non-profile, high profile. And so you will see police officers. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the person was a police officer, but it could be that the deceased had a police officer friend. And they just so happen to be in uniform. And so I think that it's important. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a high profile person, but I plan to have security at my husband's funeral as well as mine, because it'll be an invite only. And so I have that right to have security because it'll be by invitation only to attend my service.
So the invitation only, when you come to the door, it's always nice to see someone with authority.
Yes.
And that's basically what security says. If you choose to use off-duty police officers, if you choose to use a security company, the person standing there in uniform is basically just saying, I'm here with an authority. To either accept your request to be here or to tell you may have to leave.
No, definitely.
And I don't believe it's any down play on the family. I don't believe it looks bad in any way. Remember, anything that's a big concern, if Beyonce or somebody like that comes to town, we used to having security.
Right.
Now, why would I need it at a funeral? Well, let's talk about the threat at a funeral. First of all, family. That's what I'm gonna put that at the top of the list, you guys. We love really hard, but when you love hard, you are mean hard. You hate hard. You're jealous hard. I mean, I'm telling you, it's from one extreme to the other. And who you know well is your family. I'm John Beckwith. I can talk about the Beckwith family. So you all have to look at your own family. I know I have some dysfunctional folks in my family. They can't always control their emotions.
Wow.
They need security, y'all, just walking in the grocery store. I know they need security at a funeral. What you think?
Yeah,
Maybe it's just me.
so,
Maybe it's just my family.
so let me ask now. Now, Dad has been gone about 6 months.
Right. Dad passed away in September.
Was there security at his service? Because I was working, right? So I'm an employee, and now I didn't know. Now I know that there was police presence, but was there intentional security there?
So when you say there was police presence, that's because
You
have
were a
been
police
a
officer.
police officer. I'm a peace officer of Dallas County Constables for 29 years. Also, my brother-in-law also served as chief of police for 2 different departments. My first cousin, Michael Beckwith, is also a lieutenant Dallas constable as well for the last 27 years. So most of our friends, our co-workers, they're also police officers. So yes, there was a major police presence in my father's service. My father's body never moved without the Dallas County Constable Precinct 1. Thank you, Constable Tracy Gully, without police escorts because of her. Was there deliberate security? My personal friends are also police officers.
Wow.
So I never had to worry about something happening or something being out of line or any person getting out of line because everyone who was around me was personal security.
But I think that sometimes that speaks volumes because I think because let's just say, if I'm the Beckwith family and I know like, now y'all know Dad is law enforcement, blah, blah, blah. Now y'all know we're not going to, some people know, like don't even come in here with that because y'all know that's what he is, right?
And if you pull up and you saw 50 police cars outside,
we're going to try it.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been smart. It would have been like, oh my God, I'm going to have to deal with this many people. But let's say a person not as high profile as Dad or our family, would it hurt to have 2 officers there in every service? I say no, because they could serve many purposes, not just to intimidate anyone, but remember, it's just the presence. Y'all, people can walk in off the street and mess up a one-time situation.
So let me ask you a question. So I'm coming in. I've heard about Golden Gate Funeral Home. I want to use you all to take care of my family service. How does someone say, Mr. Beckwith, we've been having some things going on and issues in our family. How would someone even go about hiring security?
So the funeral home will provide that for you. You just let us know that that is a service that you would like to have. I would like to have security at the services for whatever reason. I don't want this certain person to be there, or we'll have had some arguments within the family. And that is something that can be added to your funeral purchase agreement.
But I can also add that into my pre-need too. Because I mean, even preparing. Okay.
So, right. So if that's something I want, and no one has passed away, I know what I want in my service. So one of the 7 things we talk about is pre-arrangement.
Yes.
So can I put security in my pre-arrangement? That answer is yes. I want my family to be aware. Maybe you don't think you need security, but I want security in my service. Not the idea to break up a fight in my family, not the idea that somebody's going to break in. The whole point is when you see security, that never happens.
Gotcha.
We don't want something to happen and they happen. We want people to see the presence of security so nothing ever
does happen.
That's the reason for security. Most of us are going to have one person, I'm starting with family, that is capable of messing up mama's funeral.
Oh, yeah.
That's capable of messing up grandmama's funeral. That's capable, there's somebody that needs to see security when they walk. Do you agree with this?
I totally agree.
I'll say 90% of families, 9 out of 10, there's somebody in your family needs to see that there's somebody there that's going to remove them. Let me tell you 2 people that shouldn't get involved in security at a funeral. First one is the family itself.
Yep.
You're there to mourn the death of your loved one. You're there to celebrate the death of your loved one. You should be the one that has to fight, or ask someone to leave, or ask someone to stop acting a certain way. That's what security is for. So you can continue to celebrate your loved one. And if you're at the front of the church, you may not even know.
Right.
Now, you may have said, John, you had 50 people at your police officers at my dad's funeral. Wait, I did, but y'all know we had a disturbance outside.
We did.
I
know that because I was
because you was outside. But y'all, nobody would have known that. Now, neither one of them was related to my family.
Correct.
The situation had nothing to do with my dad's funeral, but there was a disturbance.
It was.
Y'all, that disturbance could have rolled over into the funeral.
That's correct.
But what would have happened? All those police officers.
Listen.
That would have been taken care of before it ever got to me on the front.
Yeah.
I would have never even known if they know I like to clown, so they told me so I could go back to clown. So, but it never disturbed anything.
Right.
It never stopped me because security was
present
there. But two people should never have to get involved. First one is the family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an officer, my family's officers. We shouldn't have to get up to go deal with that issue. And we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Also, who should never have to deal with that is the funeral director. Remember, you hired a funeral director to handle the funeral service, not disturbance.
Okay.
Nor is funeral directors trained to handle conflict.
That's right.
Now, have we ever heard of a shooting at a funeral? Yes. Have we ever heard of a fight at a funeral? Yes. Have we ever heard that a funeral was disturbed? Yes. Would that have been avoided if security was there?
Could have been avoided.
So, number one person I'm concerned about that needs security is family.
Okay.
Always somebody in the family that needs to know that there's somebody there. Two things going to either make you act right or put you out without making a film director have to do that, or disturbing the other families that's trying to celebrate and mourn the death of their loved one. Number one reason I have security. Number two reason is outside sources. You have many people are just drawn to crowds.
Sure.
They'll read about it. They'll see it. They'll hear about it, or they'll just pass by and see a crowd of people, and they will come to the service. Y'all, they're not family. They don't even know the person. They're just drawn to crowds, and they are not invited. Second part is the people who are not invited to the funeral. That's what security is. Listen, security is here for you because you wasn't even invited. You heard about an argument that a cousin heard with another cousin, and you just like to fight. You heard about there was a situation. You just like, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna back up my homeboy. Don't worry, I'm gonna be sitting next to you. Something go down, we're gonna do this. Me and my girls gonna come down. You ain't gotta worry about nothing. We got your back. That's what security is for. Security is for the uninvited person. What do you think? You ever heard of an uninvited person?
Uninvited guest. Yeah. Uninvited guest, for sure.
I'm here with the cousin. This ain't your cousin. This ain't your loved one. Should you even be there? Because you're here is unauthorized security. You ever heard of unauthorized security? See, that's my homeboy. That's my homegirl. That's my ride or die. So I'm gonna come and disturb somebody that's funeral. You're not even invited.
And I think you make a good point because I think, when you talk about, you shouldn't be involved, you're there to mourn. That's one thing about me is that if I'm throwing a party, I'm not the host. There are hostesses. That's why I had hostesses at my wedding. I can't do everything. I can't greet everybody. I can't do all of that. And so all of that. That's right. That's right. So that's why you have a funeral planner or someone who may come in and work in conjunction with you and the funeral director to say this is a person who's going to do X, Y, and Z because I'm mourning my loved one. I don't have time to worry about a disturbance or something popping off. I'll find out later, and that's when you should find out. It's later, but we really have to take this very, very serious because it happens. Like it really does happen.
More often than it should. Like I said, the first threat is family because the emotions are so high. Of course, we've seen where family members are actually killed at funerals. There were shootings, stabbings, uninviting. So family is my first threat. My second one is the
Mhm.
uninvited guests. And then a third person I believe that security should be there for is affiliation. A lot of times the deceased will have bad affiliations, or their family members will have bad affiliations, which will cause people to come back and do revenge on.
Wow.
We'll see it with gang-related services. We'll see it with drug-related deaths. That sometimes you'll have retaliation because of affiliation.
You said something right there.
Yeah, you need security there for the affiliation. Now sometimes it's not grandmama. She's a good woman, but her grandson is in the gang. The person was killed, by a drug dealer.
Right.
So the other person is going to retaliate against that person.
Right.
The person who may have done something is present at the service and someone wants to get them back. And what they do know is that they are at the service.
Wow.
So affiliation will cause you to need security.
Yeah.
Now, how many people you have in your family that's perfect, that doesn't have bad affiliation? You understand what I'm saying? There's only one or two that have some affiliations that they're going to need security because the people that hung out with, the people that don't really care or don't really have any respect for the church or for the sanctity of a service itself, because your affiliation is causing us to have security.
It's like, for me, like, goodness gracious, like you can't even enjoy a service because of that. And I see now where people are starting to have private services.
Don't tell anybody.
Like, don't give out any information.
Don't give out information because it may be some problems, some shootings, and normally that's because of affiliation.
So we'll take a rapper who I won't name, who passed away about 2 years ago here in Dallas. We had no idea where he was.
Okay.
That was on purpose, I'm sure, because of the affiliation.
Because of affiliation, rapper was actually killed, murdered.
Right.
Publicly murdered. The person had no shame in killing them publicly on, camera, video, everything was captured. Kind of well known who his enemies was. As film directors, we knew where the deceased person was, but we wouldn't dare share that with the public.
Right.
That affiliation, I can guarantee you there was security there.
Definitely.
Security that was seen, and then security that was unseen, only because of the affiliation. And sometimes it's not always a deceased person affiliation. Sometimes it's the family's affiliation.
For sure.
That will cause us to have security. And then that's my third point. But also another point is that, and I say my fourth point is that for law enforcement, you guys, listen, a lot of arrests are made at funerals. Yes.
Are you serious?
One guy got killed at his daddy's funeral.
Oh, wow.
As a pallbearer. Because the fugitive warrant arrest people were there at the funeral. They've been looking for him, but they knew what?
Wow.
He would show up at the funeral.
That is crazy.
It was like, y'all listen, they shot and killed him in the cemetery. It made world news. It made internet. It made everything you can think of, because guess who the fugitive warrant people knew? His daddy died. He was going to be at the funeral. Your mama died. You coming to the funeral with you. You might try to come disguised. You might try to sneak in or sneak out, but more than likely you showing up.
You die at a funeral, like you there to,
and not just die by police.
That is so crazy.
Because the person who came to the funeral was expecting trouble and was armed, even though it was their immediate family member that died. When they was trying to be apprehended, they pulled a weapon, and of course the police responded with force. So let's talk about that for a second. Person at a funeral, warrant out for them, fugitive warrant department, knowing they're showing up, they can work with security.
Okay.
So nobody is even aware of what just happened.
Not even the Undertaker?
Work with security. Undertaker is sometimes friends with the family.
Okay, yes.
Be careful, as police officers, we can't tell everything. about what we get ready to do, because we don't know who's going to go back and put us in harm's way, or might put the public in harm's way, because they call themselves warning someone.
Okay.
But security, someone that's licensed, someone that have to uphold the law, can pull that person to the side. Say, let me see you for a second. Take it to a secured area, and then the warrant division can execute their arrest.
Now, have you ever had to be the Undertaker and law enforcement?
I'm always both. And yes, I have been put in that position where I had to identify myself as a law enforcement officer, because things is going that route. Remember, a lot of times it's just presence. It's like, listen, I'm a cop. Let me go ahead and tell you that now. I'm here. I'm a peace officer. I'm going to uphold the peace. So that's not
okay.
Our first job as peace officers to de-escalate the situation, not make it. The last thing we want to do is detain someone or arrest someone. What we want is the peace to stay peaceful. We are peace officers. We don't have to arrest you. We don't have to detain you. We don't have to do the things that we have power and authority to do. The first thing we have to do is de-escalate the situation. And sometimes just by identifying yourself, saying, I will take it to the next level if I have to, normally de-escalate the situation.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, 99.9% of my trying to avoid that. Yes. Am I wearing anything on the out of my clothing that will show you that I'm a peace officer? That answer is no, because that's not where we want to go.
Okay.
I do want you to have armed security there. I want this person in uniform, fully decked out, so you know there is someone there that can go there if they have to go there, because of family, because of outside influences, because of affiliation, things of that sort. And then also for law enforcement purposes, if law enforcement needs to deal with this family, we want them to go through your private security.
Okay, because a lot of times it may not always be like a gangster situation. Sometimes I think about the young lady who was in Mexico with her friends and passed away, and how much security was at that service, simply because so many people were coming, first of all, just to be spectators, outsiders, like you said, that never knew her, but because of the nature of her death, were very curious as to sin and and things of that nature. But there was security there.
Now, why security? First of all, there were some people that was blamed for her death, and they were accused of physically causing her death. And then what we call someone else getting revenge. So security is at a funeral service of that type for the person who's out for revenge.
Understood.
Who was at the Airbnb with her?
Right.
If I see them, I am going to do something to them because of revenge. Family members said that openly. Friends said that openly. If I see that girl, she should have been protected. She should have been fighting. If I see that guy, I'm going to put my hands on him. That's why security has to be there, because we have some people there for revenge. That could be family. That could be uninvited. That could be anyone that's seeking revenge. And you do need security there for that reason. So that remember that the service is not disturbed. As soon as you do something that's out of line, security is trained to observe, to see certain movements, see bulges in clothing that shouldn't be there, to make sure that that person, keep an eye on them so we can remove them immediately without disturbing everyone.
Interesting. Because, for me, I always think, security for, our elected officials, those high profile. Right. And now we're just seeing so much more of that. And if someone goes to, comes here for a funeral, a lot of times they still won't know that there is security that has been hired because everybody is not in a uniform.
Exactly. And then I would say to you, I recommend uniform. I want people to see security. Now, if nothing happens, nothing happens. If security never has to act, just let them hold the door and pass our program. I mean, just whatever the case may be. It doesn't say anything bad about your family. It doesn't say anything bad about your loved one. It doesn't mean anybody's gang related or why they got security there. No, security comes with this venue.
Sure.
There are some places you cannot even go to the venue without hiring security. Did you
Right.
know some venues won't even rent you out the place
Right.
without security?
Right.
They're not saying anything bad about you. They're not saying that you're going to do something, but they're saying it just comes with the venue.
Mhm.
You might say, well, Undertaker, why are you talking about this? Because I am a church goer. I attend 2 churches every Sunday morning, and we have security. You have security at your church.
I do have security.
What church now, at this point in time, don't have security?
Well, I would say like your smaller churches,
Mhm.
when you talking about less than, 100 members or so.
And you may be surprised.
Well, I'm
Because
speaking
they
of,
have, I'm telling you,
yeah,
somebody that, y'all, let me tell you who used to be the security at the church. The deacons.
deacons.
The deacons. Somebody came in off the street
Mhm.
that didn't look like they belonged. You know, you kept an eye on them.
But
Who kept an eye on
somebody
them?
tell me, well, why was the deacon sitting on the front row and not the back row? The ushers are sitting on the back row. The
Right.
deacon should have been on the
And I'm
back
glad
row.
you said that because remember, the usher is the first person that
Right.
alerted security. It's the usher, it's the greeter at the church
Mhm.
that's going to say, hey, that person doesn't look right. They normally not here.
Mhm.
And we've seen shootings at churches. We've seen robberies at
Yeah.
churches. We've seen domestic violence
Disputes, yeah.
at
Mhm.
churches.
Mhm.
So now most churches have security.
Yeah.
Y'all, if the church has a security, sure,
Mhm.
you
Should.
will have security.
Okay.
So it's not unusual to see security at your church. And if you got a church, you said, like you say, over 100 people, you probably have armed security there. And you have uniform
Yeah.
security that normally your pastor has personal security.
Mhm.
Y'all, security is not unusual at the place of worship. Funeral security should be normal at a funeral service. And I think it should be something that's offered by the funeral home, that the funeral home should have a relationship with a security company,
Mhm.
off-duty police officers, constables, sheriffs, or whoever you work with.
Mhm.
So they're readily available for pay, of course, to be at those services. Now, we can't always wait on a 911 call.
Right.
Do
Right.
y'all think the president is waiting on a 911 call if somebody goes to attack him? You think the mayor is waiting on a 911 call? Do you think the governor is waiting on a 911 call? No, they have security. And my loved one's funeral is just as important as the president, just as important as the governor, just as important as the mayor. Because if they have security, and we pray they never need it,
Mhm.
you should have security at your loved one's funeral and pray that you never need it. How often have we called 911? We got mad at the police because they didn't respond.
Fast enough.
Yeah, the fight was over. The
Yeah.
shooting is over. The stabbing is over.
They gone. They done ran.
What
The suspect gone.
the suspect should have
Yeah.
looked up and say, listen, if I take a chance on disturbing this peace, there's somebody here that's going to stop it. That's the reason I say that all funeral services should have some type of security.
Security. Definitely.
How you feeling about it?
That's a lot. That's
It
a
is
lot.
I don't
That's
think
a
most
lot.
people thought about that this morning. That's the reason we have this show too.
Yeah. Yeah. I
we
think
didn't,
this
we,
is
didn't, we
good.
didn't have this show to talk about things that normally happen. We have this show to put things on your mind. And we talk about the 7 things every show, you guys. People say, why you keep repeating the same 7 things? But I want you to know it. I'll speak to people say, I've seen your show over 15 years or whatever. Can you name all 7 things? No. But my favorite one is number 3.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want you
Yeah.
to get it. So first of all, you may be watching this, you may agree with this. You may say, oh man, I agree. All funerals ought to have security. When I passed away, I heard my mother say, I have security. Now, you must prearrange that. You must tell your family in writing exactly what you want at the funeral. You want limousines, you want caskets, whatever you want at your funeral, you can have it. But security needs to come up.
Oh.
Either I want it or I don't. Somebody watching right now said, that is ridiculous. Don't you dare have a police officer at my funeral. Don't you have? And if that's the way you feel, you need to put that in writing.
Yeah. Nicole
Because
said she definitely thinks churches should have security. And I think when you pre-planning, you need, and this is the other thing.
Mhm.
Do you talk to the church beforehand to say, do you call a church and say, hey, we're going to have security? Because you know how some pastors are, they need to know everything, prior to,
so let's talk about that. A lot of times we disrespect the church. You say, what do you mean, Undertaker, disrespect the church? We don't treat churches like they're beings. you have more respect for a wedding venue than you do your own church. You have more respect for the Dallas Cowboys. You have more respect for other people's businesses, but not your church. Now, what venue you get to go to and do anything you want? All venues have rules and regulations,
Right.
and you have an agreement with them. You set an appointment with them at their time. We have so much disrespect for church. We always want the church to be available when we want it available. But you don't do that to a wedding venue.
Right.
You call them and ask them, when do y'all available?
Right.
You ask them, what time can I have them? You don't tell them what time you're going to have it. Nobody does that at any other venue except for the church. We are so disrespectful to churches. And then what other house would you walk in? Somebody else is the head of that house. And you would disrespect the head of the house? Now, there shouldn't even be a discussion. Now, listen, there's a pastor, there's a shepherd, there's a head of that house. How dare you not get their permission to do something in their house? We'll say something like this: what is my church? I pay tithes. I go to church there. God didn't put you over the church. Respect authority. You would do that in any other venue, except for we have so much disrespect for the church. And let me throw this out for free: and for the pastor's time. We disrespect the pastor's time. I'm getting married, pastor need to be available.
Listen.
My mama died, pastor, you need to be available. Not at your convenience, but at my convenience. He's human, she's human, but you do know she go on vacation. He goes on vacation. You know they get a day off. She gets a day off.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it that inconvenient for them. You should always start off with what venue are we gonna have the service at? Let's call the head or the person that organizes that venue. Let's get an understanding on dates, times, what's allowed in the venue. And then if I want the pastor present, let's make it around his or her schedule. That's just respectful.
Thank you for saying that.
An order of service, you guys, that is huge in somebody else's venue. You do not decide the order of service. The church decides the order of service. And if they choose to allow you to have freedom, thank God for it.
That is so major, Mr. Beckwith. Mr. Beckwith, that is so major, because I know for us, when we were making funeral arrangements, me and Miss Haynes were making arrangements for my grandmother, and I actually had to send the order of service to the pastor for approval before it could be sent to print.
Exactly.
And people are not doing that. It's his venue. It's my grandmother's church. She's been, was a member. But you gotta have under his leadership. His leadership. And I think that you all have to remember that, is that you have to do things decent and in order. Because he is the shepherd of that house, we have to get back to respecting the church. So thank you for saying that.
The church, that definitely leads me back to security.
Yeah.
So you want to prearrange that. You want to prearrange the church, prearrange with your venue. Also prearrange if you choose to have security there. That is very important. Second thing was we talk about insurance. We have to pay the $4. Now, security is not cheap. Security is not free. I don't assume that it is. The venue is not free. You should give some type of honorarium to the ministers, to the musicians, and people of that sort. They should receive something.
I agree.
That's just the right thing to do. You guys, a lot of times we just can't afford it. We just did not prepare financially for death. Sometimes death catches us unexpectedly. We did on the entire show on that. I don't think anybody expect that. And if you expect them, it's too late to get insurance. So you got to get insurance before we're expecting that, to make sure you're financially in a position to afford what you just prearranged.
Understood.
How affordable is insurance? And this is interesting because a lot of people say, I can think of 3 reasons why I can't get insurance. First of all, it's just lack of knowledge.
Right.
I don't have insurance because I just don't know any better. No longer have that excuse because you watch the Undertaker show. Second reason I don't get insurance because I think I cannot be insured because I am sick or I've been told that I can't be insured. You guys, you have to talk with the Undertaker about insurance. We will give you an insurance agent that we know can insure you. Can you be insured if you have cancer?
Yes.
Can you be insured if you're diabetic, have high blood pressure, and all of those things? Is it still affordable? Yes. You may not get the this large amount that you want, but you need to get what you can afford. Everybody is insurable, even if you are sick, even if you've been diagnosed with a terminal disease, you can still be insured. Y'all, that is very important to know. Third reason why people don't have insurance is they don't budget for it.
Mhm.
You can't budget for $100 a month if you only have $50.
Okay.
If you need to budget for the amount that you can or something that you don't even see it.
Okay.
If you say, listen, I got $100 budget, I recommend you purchase something that's $50.
Okay. Okay.
Because situations will happen that you may not be able to stay with that budget.
Okay.
Give yourself some wiggle room.
Okay.
Don't max yourself. Some people are maxing themselves out on life insurance.
Mhm.
They can't afford their regular bills because they have so much life insurance on everybody. Life insurance has to be affordable. That's why we see so many life insurances lapse, because it was budgeted bad. As soon as any emergency happened, we immediately went to the insurance budget and took it from.
Yeah. And understand and ask the questions about what type of insurance. You know, whole life, term life, you know, all of that stuff.
Right, exactly. So many affordable insurance, so many different types of insurance. Allow us to walk you through. My producers tell me we have a question about a picture behind me. And is that picture of me in the casket or dad next to me?
Probably you.
Me in the casket. You guys, there was a local magazine or newspaper called Dallas Observer back in 2011, came out and spent 3 months with did what we call a ride-along program. They was interested in the film business. So we rode along. The reporter showed up every day, went to lunch with me, walked through my daily things, and did a 4-page write-up in the Dallas Observer. I still have that Dallas Observer newspaper that's been framed, that's on my wall. The front page of the paper was me, laying in a casket, and that's what you see there. So y'all, that's actually the front page of Dallas Observer.
And let me read y'all what it says. It says, "Death becomes him."
Right.
That's what the subtitle says. It says, "Death becomes him." So bodies are John Beckwith Jr.'s business, and business is booming. So he is yet alive, as you can see. That's a nice picture, though. I like that seersucker suit.
And I said it's like 6-page.
Very nice.
Very nice article. So do they have to sell newspapers? Do they have to get your attention? I'm on the front page, you guys. So me and the casket went pretty well. The sales went well that day. Let me say this on the show. I was not laying down in the casket. I'm actually standing up. So they have these great photographers where they actually prop the casket up and had me kind of lean into it. So it looks like I'm laying down in the casket.
It does.
But I am not.
17 years, I never knew that.
I'm not.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
You'll see my elbows are outside of the casket.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it looks like I'm lying
It
down.
does.
So a lot of people have come back since they've seen that article and asked, can they lay in the casket and take pictures, Nicole? And I said, of course you can.
Oh,
But
Nicole, no, he did not.
I got suckered. I ain't never laid in the casket before. Never have. I was like my turn.
Oh,
I was
my.
standing up.
I cannot believe you put her on blast like that.
One of the things, my father really was unhappy with that ownership. He was present, and he was having a fit about me getting in the casket. He didn't want to see his son in the casket. So the casket was set up. I was actually leaning to the casket, not actually laying.
I thought you were laying down. Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, a lot of people call themselves going to duplicate that. They want to see what they feel like with the casket. I have no idea.
Nicole, you got busted. I didn't. You never saw mine. Mine never saw my picture, but you know.
I mean, if she say I never saw her picture, that means there must have been a picture.
It was. I told you that. It's not a secret, and I still have it. I have it too. It was purple too, beautiful, and he sold the casket too. But anywho, someone said on Facebook that it's amazing how people will invest not really invest, but they'll put their money into cars and shoes and everything but getting life insurance. And so even understanding whole life, term life, all of that, you really need to have a discussion to make sure that you're getting the right insurance. But I thought that was great because GoFundMe is not insurance.
So let's talk about it. I have nothing against shoes. I think if you can afford a nice pair of shoes, get you a nice pair of shoes. I love shoes. Right now, I'm wearing a nice pair of shoes. Somebody might say, well, those are too expensive. They want, no, this is what I can afford. You want to show them your shoe? What's on the bottom of your shoe? So listen, as you see, we like shoes. Now, there's nothing wrong with shoes. There's nothing wrong with clothing. There's nothing wrong with living. You know, you spend your money on living things because you are alive. You have every right to do that. So I don't knock anyone for that. But remember, you are going to die. It is so selfish for me to have on Versace shoes and not leave my wife an insurance. How dare I have on a custom-made suit and my children not be able to go to college when I die? So it's okay to drive a G-Wagon. I have nothing against that. But I'm not going to die and leave my family in the strain because I wanted to live lavish and spend all of my inheritance, all my money, and leave my family absolutely nothing. So I believe that your insurance policy should match your lifestyle. I agree. Now, don't live rich and die poor.
Oh, come on now.
Now, shame on you for that.
Wow.
I think you need to live and die equivalent and leave your family in a position. Yeah, as African Americans, we're the only generation that did worse than our parents.
That's correct.
It was my generation that blew that. And you say, what do you mean your generation that blew that? First of all, you remember we was brought here as slaves. So the generation after slavery did extremely well considering the person before them, the generation before them were slaves. They came a mighty long ways. Y'all, then the generation after them continued to do well, even with the Jim Crow situation and the prejudice. We still continue to become senators and politicians and lawyers and doctors. Through all that, generations always done better. Our parents have always said, I want my children to do better than I did. And they did it, you guys. They poured into us to do better than them. So what happened is that we kept getting better. We kept getting better as African Americans to the point where we started holding the standard higher. But there was a generation came and there was a thing that was implemented into our community to stop African Americans from coming up. You know what that was called? Crack cocaine. Crack cocaine came into the African American community to make sure that there will be a lost generation. It was planted. I truly believe that. I truly believe that that was put there for that purpose, and it worked. It took a generation where kids were stealing from parents. It took a generation that instead of doing better, did worse. It took a generation that took their family homes and lost it. It took a generation that did not have things in place financially that did worse. And that was my generation that did worse than their parents did. Y'all, we can now reverse that. How do we get that wealth back? How do we get what we lost? How do we get what the devil planned for evil to turn into good? And that is to go back to leaving an inheritance. My generation must do more for our children. We have to leave an inheritance to our children and teach our children how to handle that inheritance.
Yeah, you got to learn about, I think a lot of times everything has always just been given, right? Given without the educational component under it, which is financial literacy. You know, you talked this morning about, you know, being blessed and being able to have an increase if you reap this and, you know, the harvest. And so what I'm saying is just because somebody give you 10,000, I think Mr. Beckwith was saying a lot of us are not being blessed because we don't know how to take care of it. You probably could use the $10,000, but you're going to blow it. And so I think a lot of times in different generations, we blow money because we have not been taught financial literacy. That's why there's African Americans have more student loan debt than any other minority population in this country because of the lack of financial literacy. So our people perish because of a lack of knowledge. We have to not do that. We have to pour more into our families and understanding what that generational wealth looks like.
So we have the Undertaker.
Mhm.
The Undertaker show.
Yes.
We say, hey, do 7 things because not just for me, but for my family that's going to be left behind.
Understood.
That's financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all let the doctor do a show and not just talk about, being healthy, but let him talk about or her talk about how well they have done, how they were able to do well financially.
Yes.
And put yourself in a position where health is wealth.
Understood.
And then let the next attorney or whoever that's a professional in the African American community take on the responsibility to help the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be the better because of the last Undertaker show and all the other self-help shows. So first of all, on the Undertaker show, we're saying make sure you prearrange what you want so your family don't overspend or have to beg to bury you or cremate you or whatever services you choose. Financial literacy. Mm-hmm. Make sure there is an insurance policy in place that you leave some type of inheritance, some type of wealth, because you probably won't ever be able to save enough money to leave them something, but you can put them in a position with insurance so they can have a head start. And then third thing we talk about is the last will and testament, so we don't lose the things that we have worked so hard for. That they go to the right people, not always to the next of kin. That taxes are paid. The wrong person don't get something and not take care of it. That's what testament allows me to give things to people I trust that's going to actually take care of it. My family don't split up or fight about some things that I work for. And that's one of the things we lack as African American community is that last will and testament. We got to get that in place. Even if you can't afford an attorney, first of all, if you can, be sure to take advantage of that. But if you can't, put something in writing. Yes. 3 things. Put it in writing. Sign it. Mm-hmm. Date it. And witness it. Mm-hmm. Meaning, y'all listen, I signed it. Somebody's going to witness that I wrote it and signed it. And then check this out. Date it. Mm-hmm. So somebody will come back and say he changed his mind or he made another one later and get it notarized.
When we first started working here, you made us do that. Like we sat in the staff meeting, y'all. And this was, I think when I started working here, I was in my late 20s, about to turn 30. And Mr. Beck was like, well, do you have this? And I was like, man, I ain't got no family. I stay in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's just me and my Cocker Spaniel minding our business. He said, and I was like, I don't have anything. He was like, you got a couch, don't you? I said, yes, sir. You got a bed, don't you? He said, you have to write that out. He said, as minimal as you think that is, some of us think that we don't have anything. You got something. So I would challenge you. And now I'm, in my 40s and understand the significance and the importance because now I have gained more things. I have a good job. I have, a family now. So I would challenge you to do that so that we don't have to fuss and fight in the courts. And then somebody, we don't even have no money left and nobody gets anything, right? So the judge can make a decision and he don't even know us. That's why it's important for us to come together now because the judge don't know us. The judge could have pointed to somebody who is less worthy of getting it. So I think that's so important.
And they don't do it on purpose. We do it in Dallas County or many counties out there. We have African-American women judges.
Yes.
They're very mindful, thank God for that. But they don't know. They don't know your family. They don't. And so you need to put it in writing. Yes. And remember again, that leads us to generational wealth. Yes. Make sure the right person receive it, not the wrong person, so we continue to be better. Yes. So the generation under us will do better than we will. Yeah, another thing we talk about is living wills. We talk about what happens if John Beckwith Jr. has a stroke or a heart attack or something happens to me. Do I put that strain on my family on what to do with me? Now, this is huge. Do I want to go to a nursing home? Do I want to stay at home? Can I afford to stay at home? And am I going to make the person who lives with me struggle to become a caretaker instead of what they professionally do? Y'all, you have to discuss that with the family. You have to self-check yourself and make sure you do a living will, something in writing again, to tell us exactly what to do if you become disabled. We only got a few minutes, so I want to move right to bank accounts. Marlando, make sure everybody has a beneficiary payable on debt on every bank account.
that's 18 years of age or older. I love my kids. My husband swear I love them more than I love him, but they are under the age of 18.
Shouldn't be on.
Should not be on the bank account. Their names are not on there, but my husband is a payable on death, and we do have a contingent. Should my husband and I be together and we both pass away, there is someone who will have access to the money. It's free. Just go into the bank and do it.
And remember, if it's a joint account, that person doesn't need to be beneficial. Because remember, it's just as much as their account as yours. So if you don't both have a joint account, make someone else the payable.
Ladies, don't do a joint account. You get your account, get your husband account, and then you just put him on
That's
as
gonna be the
beneficiary.
drive.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it. Ladies, get your own account. Do you hear me? Because if he sends you flowers and y'all have a joint account, did he really send you flowers? It came out of a joint account, ladies. It does not count. Get your own account. My husband will be in charge of my funeral.
That's called a right of disposition. Now, who's going to be in charge of your funeral?
I said what I said.
All right. Who's going to be in charge of your funeral? Fellas, she's absolutely right about that joint account. Don't you put no woman on your account.
Listen.
You need an account. She don't know nothing about.
Listen.
But anyway, right of disposition, you guys, very important. Who lie?
Men lie.
Women lie.
Men lie.
And numbers
don't lie.
Don't lie. All right, we agree on that. Who's going to be in charge of your, thank you, Kevin Kelly. Who's going to be in charge of your funeral? Who's going to be in charge? Y'all, this is very important. You have more than one adult child, everybody is next of kin. If you have someone who's taking care of you right now, that's a caretaker that's going to take care of your death, make sure they have the right disposition. If you got a divorce or you didn't, you just got separated, make sure you put somebody over your body. You guys, these medical power attorneys are not the same as a right of disposition. The biggest difference, right of disposition is free. It doesn't cost $1. Just come by here and get it. We'll notarize it for you for free. And you decide who's going to be in charge. Now, where is everything, Marlon? If you pass away, how do we find the things we need to make sure everything goes well because we no longer have your voice?
It's called a flash drive for me. It's a flash drive.
Your letter last instruction is on a flash drive. Who has that flash drive? Who have access to it? Where do we find it?
It's written out.
It's secret.
Yeah, you don't want everybody to know. Yeah, I do. I definitely do. I definitely do. It's some passwords that some folks just don't know and never will.
Somebody knows.
Disclosure disclaimer. Yes. Okay. Somebody knows.
Now listen, you guys. In life, you need to be friendly. Find you at least one friend.
That's right.
That one friend should have that email.
Yep.
That you trust. Get it to them though. At least one person, maybe two people in your life that you can trust with things, and give them all the passwords out because they don't have no intention of hurting you. They have no intention of going into your accounts, but at least they can when needed. You're gonna have to let someone know about everything. Some of you have secrets from spouses. Some of you have secrets.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Mr. Beckwith, shame on you. And if that's your thing because you don't believe in joint accounts, can you at least tell us the account that's not?
I said what I said. I said what I said.
That money just don't stay out there. Since I'm not on the account, can you at least tell somebody to get access to the account number, the routing number, also who's a payable on debt, since everything is not up.
I don't mind speaking about mine in 2 minutes or less. I'm just telling y'all, get your own account. Because Mr. Beckwith ain't, listen, y'all, death becomes him. Listen, y'all listen. It's not, he ain't right. He ain't right.
Let me tell y'all this.
You got some secrets.
Men, let me tell y'all, put a beneficial on every account and somebody needs to know who it is.
Yes.
Because if you got something going on, nobody knows. When you die, it'll just be there.
Yeah.
It'll go back to the state. It'll go into unclaimed money. You got to trust at least one person. At least, do I trust Marlon? Yes, Marlonda has no intention, no bad intentions for me. I can tell Marlonda something I can't tell someone else because I was like, listen, she don't need my money. She don't need anything from me. Yeah. Find you one person that's not a New Orleans Saints fan. And
stop
tell
it now.
them.
Stop it now.
You can't trust anybody else feel safe.
Now let me tell you something. I know he trusts me. If he trusts me in a 6-figure vehicle, I drove a Lamborghini. I'm a Saints fan. It's Lamborghini. So I know he trusts me. And poor Cowboy fan. Listen,
I'm
it's
just saying,
oh,
you
it's
be careful.
okay.
Anybody that
It's
wear
okay.
a sack over their head
Listen,
at a football
I
game,
know you did.
you can trust them with
You got 1 minute to
all right,
finish
come on.
your
We got
game.
any questions for the
We don't have none. We
Y'all,
don't have
thank
none.
y'all so much for being a part of the show. I always have to remind people that my family, the Beckwith family, is from Louisiana. And I do love the Saints.
He
I
lying,
don't ever
y'all.
want y'all to think
He
that I
telling
don't.
stories,
The
y'all.
only reason I give Saints fans a hard time is because y'all are so hard on Cowboy fans. And Orlando is a Saints fan. Y'all, thank y'all so much for being a part of Ask the Undertaker. We're going to be right here every Saturday morning speaking on Undertaker issues. Monday through Friday, Marlena and I do a show called The Morning Drive with The Undertaker.
Great
It's
show.
not formal.
No,
It is PG. It's not for your kids.
it's
So
definitely
be
not.
sure to tune
Drop
in
them off for you get on the line.
every morning, Monday through Friday for The Morning Drive. May God bless you. May God keep you is our prayer.